to meet you. Welcome to Brazil.
Thanks.
I would like to know about you. If you follow the superheroes movies and everything that's happening today, and what you think about a role in a superhero movie for DC or Marvel?
Sorry, I didn't get the last one. What was it?
If you would consider a role in a superhero movie,
We're gonna
DC or Marvel, which hero would you like to play?
Oh my god. Me and my friends, we watched almost all the Marvel movies. We love superhero movies. I've always loved superhero movies. My favorite superhero is that's gotta be Batman. I love Batman, and that's and he's not even part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is kind of, you know, those are good movies. Sorry, DC, but that's kind of what's happening. But I love Batman because he's a human being. All the other guys, I mean, Superman, he's been super overpowered all the time. I mean, he's just such a, I think he's boring because he's perfect. And I know he's perfect, that's the one thing about him. I love Batman because he's almost like an anti-hero. The stuff Christopher Nolan did with Batman, making him almost an anti-hero and sometimes doing the wrong thing, or, you know, playing around with him being, you know, a truthful, a hero, you know, the Dark Knight. And that in that regard, I think that was super interesting. And I think Batman would be cool. And if not superhero movies, I would love to do Anakin Skywalker and Star Wars. Sorry, you can say that, so maybe I'll take a part, okay?
You like watch yourself acting online?
Oh. So, I hated watching myself for a long time. I probably still do a little bit. But if I have to be honest, if I think that I did a good job, I can look at it and I can be like, okay, I did a good job. If I didn't, I'm probably going to turn it off straight away. But yeah, it takes practice because you are so self-aware, and it's sometimes really, really tough to hear yourself. You probably know that when you've done a podcast or something where you hear your own voice for the first time, like stuff like that, it's horrible. And that's the same with literally looking at you, and that's just also your voice, your face, your body, everything. It's 2 + 2 + 2. It's awful, but you learn to deal with it, and yeah, I think I've learned to cope with it. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey Alex, we know that you started acting so young, and then how was it for you when you was called to play Vikings? Such an intense character like Ivar.
I mean, as you say, yeah, I started acting when I was young, yeah. I think I was 11 years old when I started doing some musical theater. And that was on the jazz hands, so singing and dancing and stuff like that. But, so nothing like Vikings at all. But I did that for like 7 years and didn't do any work in front of a camera. So I had no clue what I was doing when I got in front of a camera the first time. And that took 5 years of me doing from 15 to like 14 to like 17, 18 years old or something like that. That's when I started to realize, okay, this is how you're gonna work in front of a camera, because it's super different. When you go on a theater stage, you need to reach everyone. But when you're on a camera, in front of a camera, I mean, they don't need to see all of this, so you have to do even smaller things. Like, it's completely contrast. It's a massive contrast between those two styles of acting. But getting back to your question, I had no clue what I was doing when I started on Vikings either. I'd done a few things back in Denmark in front of the camera, you know, film work, but it's so different. First and foremost, I'm going to work in a different language. I'm going to work in English, which is not my first language, and that's a massive, massive contract, by the way. Challenge, that's a massive challenge. Oh my God, that took 4 months or so just to get over that hurdle. But from there on, we just started to get used to it, and we were working in Ireland, talking to English-speaking people all the time, right? So that was, you got into it. But I was scared. Oh, I was scared when I got there. And then then I need to be a cripple, I need to speak in English, I'm in a different country, he's 1,000 years old. There's a lot of elements to that character that I had no clue about. So, just a lot of research and, just a few mistakes the first months and then you got it. Yeah, eventually.
Our preparation to play Ivar so intense character. How do you work with this?
Yeah. No. It's I'll get more into that. I mean, I did a lot of research in terms of understanding his disease, which is brittle bone disease. So I had to understand what his physical limitations were. If he's crippled and his legs doesn't work, how do we do that on set? Can I ride? Can I get up on a horse? No, I can't do that. Would I rather, if we're transporting Ivar from this place to this place, would he be on a chariot, or would he be crawling himself because he'd been doing that all his life, or would he be on his bag or something like that? We were talking about those things all the time because we needed to figure out what his limitations were. But for me as an actor, I mean, Michael Hers wrote a phenomenal character. It was so much fun to portray. And I mean, if I'm sitting there with blood in my face and there's 100 extras with bows and arrows looking at me and screaming at me, all I can do is scream back. So, I mean, all those scenes we had where he was completely psychopathic and screaming and yelling and killing, you just kind of do it. There's no preparation for that. You just do it and hope you get there. Yeah, that's all it is, really. That's really all it is. But a lot of fun, absolutely a lot of fun. Because also it's something that I don't do in my spare time. I don't kill people as a hobby. So it's always fun to portray somebody that's so far away from you. And Ivar is far away from me. But it takes a lot of research, understanding his disease, understanding the society that he's living in, understanding Viking culture, what could help him, what could not. He didn't have hospitals, so he was on his own. Understanding those things.
Hi, Alex. You just said that you did a lot of research before playing Ivar. What did you know about Viking culture before getting into the series? And what do you see that's good in it and what's bad in the Viking culture, Viking society?
Oh, Viking society in general? Okay, well, first of all, to answer your first question, I'm from Denmark, where North culture, or North mythology is something that we are aware of. It's kind of our culture. But a lot of foreigners think, oh yeah, you know everything about Viking culture because you're from Denmark. That's not the case. All I knew about North mythology was something that we learned in public school, the first classes, the first years in school. But, I mean, I read most of it from a comic book that we had in Denmark that was about Thor and Odin and all the gods, and I loved the sagas. And when I was watching Vikings, the first season of Vikings, I remember some of the sagas that Floki was saying, telling the other characters. And I was like, yeah, I read that in a comic book when I was 8 years old, right? So that's fun, but that was about it. And then of course you do some research to understand how I researched a lot about battle structures, how you would penetrate shield walls and stuff like that, to understand, okay, if I'm going to scream all these orders, I need to kind of know what I'm going to do, in a way, right? I did that. And to get back to what's good and bad in Viking culture, one good thing is they were pretty civilized, way more civilized than what people say or what people think. They were very clean. They were way more equal in terms of gender than a lot of the rest of the world was. The women were out there fighting. They were doing very individual stuff. They weren't. They didn't have to have a man around them. And that's what I love about the Viking culture. Second thing is obviously, the bad thing is that they did kill quite a bit, and they did think that, they would go to Valhalla if they killed people. So that's a pretty rough place to start, so to say. So yeah, they have killed a lot of people, have created a lot of destruction, but you know, that's history. Can't really comment any further on that, but there are good and bad things about that culture, absolutely.
Okay. Hi, nice to meet
Hi,
you.
nice to meet you.
Besides Vikings, which TV shows do you watch and love?
Oh, I just watched Euphoria, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I am in awe of that show. I think it's phenomenal. I watched a lot of Game of Thrones. I'm not supposed to say that because apparently Vikings and Game of Thrones hate each other. I don't know. My first hates Game of Thrones. They were like, don't mention Game of Thrones, Tim. I was like, I love Game of Thrones, but then I win. But I love Game of Thrones. Breaking Bad is one of my all-time favorites. Absolutely love that show. The acting is phenomenal, writing too. But for a new one, I would say Euphoria right now. Oh, and Mindhunter. Love Mindhunter too. Love crime.
Alex,
Hey, yeah.
I would like to know about the Ragnar deaths.
Yeah.
Was it a surprise to you, or did you know since the beginning of the shooting?
We knew the moment we got in.
Spoiler alert.
We knew, yeah, it's spoiler alert for everyone. No, we knew when we got in that he was gonna die. We knew he was a part of the arc. I actually think when we were auditioning for the roles, the scenes actually mentioned his death because they were talking about what they were gonna inherit from him, and so we knew straight away. So also coming into the auditions, we were like, okay, so if the lead is gonna die, who's gonna take over? Is that us? No, please not, right? But yeah, so we knew straight away actually. But I was fortunate enough to work with Travis Fimmel, who played Ragnar, for like 2 or 3 months. I was fortunate enough to work with him and see him work, and I learned a lot from Travis because he's a phenomenal actor and he takes his craft very seriously. And he's an awesome dude. He's good fun. God, that was a lot of pranks and fun times. But it was all with a very serious vibe to it. I mean, we had to make it fun once in a while because we were in the woods freezing our butts off or on top of a mountain. And, you know, I was crawling around on the ground and I was bloody and stuff like that. So we needed to make it fun and laugh a little because it was tough times, especially for the crew. I mean, I could get a break and go to my tent and just chill out and grab a cup of coffee while all the crew members are setting up the next shot and putting up lights and cameras and carrying an entire crane from the woods up to the top of the mountain. And there would be like a string of crew members just carrying each thing, passing it to the other. It was amazing to be a part of, but it was a tough time, tough shoot, very tough shoot, so we had to make it fun, and Travis was a master to that.
The comparison between gods and Vikings bothered you in the cast? Between Game of Thrones and Vikings? In comparison.
Comparison between gods?
And Vikings. Bothered
Game
you?
of Thrones and Vikings others you somehow.
GOT or Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said gods, yeah. No. It doesn't bother me, it's just fun. And also, I'm a fan of Game of Thrones, I love Game of Thrones. So I was like, nah, y'all good. If some of the people that watch Game of Thrones go watch Vikings because of that comparison, I'm good with that. Come be my guest. I love to see that because, I mean, Game of Thrones is a lot bigger than Vikings, so if they can give some of the viewers over to Vikings, that would be awesome. Yeah, no, I like that comparison, and I understand the comparison. We don't have dragons, and you know, we don't have fantasy elements, but in a way, I mean, we're talking about gods in a way more, in a bigger way than they do actually, which is also, some would say, a spiritual element, and so it has a lot of similarities, and it's drama, it's family drama, it's tragedy, it's dark, it's heavy, and it's fun. So no, it's 2 shows that got a lot of different things going on for them, and it's cool to be a part of it. I like the comparison.
Hello, Alex. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And Ivar character, it's awesome. So thank you for that masterpiece.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. That's very nice of you.
Yeah. So So my question is, before you got this role, you have to research about the real Ivar, and how actually Alex feels about the violence and he's a psychopath.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
It's an interesting question because it comes back to me as an actor. I always have to defend my character. I can never judge Ivar. I always have to defend him. Because if I'm not behind him, no one ever will be, because he's pushing limits. He is a pretty tough character to love. And if I'm not trying every single day to make people love him, do little things here and there to make him either soften up a little bit, make him a little funny, so people can say, oh yeah, you killed someone in the last scene, but you made me laugh in this one, so I kind of like you. Like that kind of thing. That's literally the thing I work with every single day. Because when Michael Hurst writes a script and writes characters, he's writing a lot of characters. And it's not, I mean, sometimes, thank God, we have the option or the possibility to change a few things when we're shooting. Not a lot, but just little things here and there to make him either soften up, or can I say this in a different way to make him more soft or less harsh in this way, or can we not say this line and just make him smile at that or something, stuff like that. And I think if you add all these little things that you do, if you add those together, it makes a big difference. So yeah, I'm always working with my co-stars, we're working with that all the time. Yeah, all the time. But it was a pleasure working with you because it makes you sharp. I learned so much from being in dialogue with Michael and being able to portray my own character. But I can never judge him. I always have to defend him. And so yeah, I may not agree with everything that he does, but I have to make it work for me, and I have to understand him. Yeah.
What about for the future? The roles, what we can expect from you?
Yeah, well, you can expect me to be in all the blockbusters. No.
Nice.
For the future, right now I'm back in Denmark, and I am working on Danish projects because I really want to get back to basic, and I want to learn how to, act in Danish. Because I think I skipped a few stages on that career ladder. I think I was down here before I got Vikings, and I jumped up the year, and I think that's way too far. So I really want to take these steps with me, right? I want to, exactly. I want to be a full actor, not just he's a Viking actor. He knows how to do a character that's 1,000 years old. I want to be able to do everything. I want to be a drag queen. I want to be a wrestler. I want to be maybe not a handicapped character for for the next project, but we'll get to that at some point. But I've been doing some cool movies back then. That's cool. So really looking forward to that. And back in the back there.
Well, thank you. Yes, you kind of answered my question, because I was going to ask you what would be a challenge for you in your career. You are young, yes. Don't say you started young, because you're still young.
Yeah.
But what kind of character would be a real challenge for you? And you said maybe not a handicap.
I know.
What would be a real challenge for you in your career? Say, I want to do that to prove myself that I can do it.
I got you. Yeah. I think, every single character is a challenge in different ways. I think sometimes the characters that are very close to yourself are sometimes the biggest challenge, because you just can't, pretend to be some character. If you have like a stereotype character of, a drug addict, or let's say a drag queen, which I find super interesting characters that are very different and has a lot of elements to them that are interesting, I find. These are two random examples. There are a lot of different characters out there. But I think every single character is challenging, and I don't know which one would be the biggest challenge. Probably something that's very close to me in a weird way. I think that's really, really challenging, because then I think it gets mixed up. Like, is this Alex or is this the character? What's happening here? And I just did a short back in Denmark where I thought we were a little too close to each other, and that was a little weird actually. I would rather go do something like Ivar that's completely different, it's 1,000 years ago, and I can separate him from myself, like I would with a drug addict or let's say a drag queen or something funny like that is cool. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably the closer to being, the more challenging.